Money mules are being targeted under proposed laws in Singapore. It's part of the country's fight against scams. Now, the proposal also looks to crack down on those who share Singpass details or one's digital identity for secure transactions with scammers. For more, our reporter Tan Se-Hui joins us right here in studio.
Also, before we get to these proposed laws, give us a sense of the numbers involved in terms of these scam issues, and also what role do money mules play in facilitating scams like these?
So, I mean, if you look at the chart right here that's about to come up, so over the last 5 years, a tremendous amount of scams, as you can see over here, last 5 years, look at that. Five-fold increase over the last 5 years. And in the last 2 years alone, nearly $1.3 billion were lost. So victims in Singapore really lost quite a lot of money. And that's because money mules, they play a critical role when it comes to facilitating scams. So for example, those who open bank accounts, the scammers will take the money through this bank account and they will launder money outside of Singapore. And so that's why there needs to be more done. And so the police have investigated more than 19,000 money mules between 2020 and 2022, but only 250 prosecuted. So that's a large difference. Now, that's because under current laws, the prosecution needs to prove that the money mule knows that the funds transacted through the bank account, they know that it's criminal activity, but so now there's a lot of difficulty proving intent. That's why they need to come up with these new laws.
It's a huge rise in the number of scam cases, and it may also be because of increased reporting as well. But tell us something about these new laws that have been proposed.
So the new laws would be rash and negligent money laundering. And if passed, so for example, when a person continues to carry out monies and transactions out of their bank accounts, but they don't ask, why is there such a huge amount of money in my bank account? They don't even try to find out who the person is that they're sending the monies out to. This would make them liable to this new offense. So for example, if you receive or transfer money without taking steps to find out who this person is, why all this money is going out of your bank account, you will be deemed liable. And so the police has also come up with some advice as to how you can protect yourself.
Those who fail to exercise due diligence over their payment accounts and are found to be involved in money laundering would be criminally liable. To avoid becoming an accomplice to crimes, do not disclose your banking details or OTPs to anyone, and do not send or transfer money to anyone whom you do not know or have not met in person before.
So there's also new offences to prevent those who disclose or try to obtain Singpass credentials. Because as Singaporeans, you have Singpass accounts, there's a lot of valuable information, there's a lot of personal details, you can register companies, you can also open up new bank accounts. And so that also leads to criminals using these bank accounts and to launder money. And so they want to make sure that people like you and I, we don't just give away your credentials easily, and so you will be deemed liable. So for example, let's give you a scenario right here. Let's take a look at this chart here. The scenario would be, let's say somebody comes to you, they go through online messaging platforms like WhatsApp or Telegram, and they ask you, could you give me your Singpass details? And then you can, stand a chance and take part in a lucky draw. Now, you give your details. Do you think you'll be deemed liable?
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's very clear-cut. The answer is yes, you will be deemed liable because you didn't even try to find out how this person is going to use your Singpass credentials. And so that's right, you will be deemed liable.
Right.
But the authorities say that, the offense is not intended for those who wanted to share their Singpass credentials for legal purposes. So for example, if you're a senior, you need help with some of your transactions. So you ask your children to, help out with these transactions. And so you give them your Singpass credentials. So that is still, you're still okay. You're still within the law. And also those who were genuinely tricked, it's you will not be deemed liable. But even so, a lawyer I spoke with say that you have to be very, very careful, especially when the new law is passed.
The new law will make it such that if you should have known that some harm can result from your assistance, you can get into trouble. And the trouble you can get into, the punishment envisaged is quite severe. So the whole shift in this law is to change the mindset of people who would normally be more cavalier. You cannot anymore. You need to be careful.
Also, you mentioned earlier, 2020 to 2022, 19,000 money mules being investigated, only 250 being prosecuted. So you've got 18,700 more than 18,000 who were investigated, but under this new law, technically retro, they could be even more severely investigated. What happens to them now?
So the police say that they will not be liable for that. The new laws, if passed, will not be applied retrospectively. So that number that you just cited, they will not be charged under the new laws. So cases that took place before the new laws, they will be assessed based on the laws of that time. But once the law is passed, these are the penalties. It's quite harsh. So for rash and negligent money laundering, up to 5 years jail or a fine of up to 250,000 or both. And for disclosing or obtaining Singpass credentials, up to 3 years jail or a fine of up to 10,000 or both. So it's very harsh penalties.
So really, ignorance no longer an excuse.
Exactly. You can't feign ignorance at all.
There you are. Thanks, Tzu Hui, coming in to chat with us, our reporter, Tan Tzu Hui.